So I've always been a fan of this game called Sands of Time. Sands of Time is a Minecraft minigame by MC Championship, where teams of 4 players are locked in their own dungeon, and they compete to collect as much gold as they can before the time runs out. In the center of their dungeon is this giant hourglass filled up with sand. That shows how much time they have left in the dungeon to scurry through the various paths of the dungeon looking for gold and more sand to add to their timer. The more sand they can collect, the more time that they get in the dungeon. The more time they get in the dungeon, the deeper they can go to find more gold and more sand. If you're lucky enough and can go deep enough, you can find certain colored keys that unlock certain colored vaults deep in the dungeon. Each vault contains a hefty amount of change to add to your team's score. Players need to be not too greedy, because if they don't manage their sand properly and run out of time before reaching the only exit in the center of the dungeon, they can get locked in the dungeon and none of the coins that they collected will add to their total score. Sadly though, I've never played the game. So I thought, you know what the heck? As a fun little challenge, I thought I'd make my own version of the game. Now I have some experience making various Minecraft plugins, which is essentially what this game probably is. But for an extra added challenge, I wanted to make this only using data packs. Data packs are pretty cool because they let you change basically almost anything about Minecraft and how the game works. Mojang has focused on adding a lot of features into data packs, and recently Mojang has been adding features to jigsaw blocks, which are used in data packs to create structures in combination with the structure block as well. I want to bring this up now because I believe the most challenging part in recreating Sands of Time in a data pack will be generating a dungeon with a proper hub and outlets.
So in order to generate any kind of large-scale fancy-smancy structure or dungeon of any kind, there's 3 main components that we'll need to know about and know how they interact with each other. So the first off is a structure block. Now these can actually be used independently of jigsaw blocks and template pools. Right? They're just responsible for saving, loading, generating some kind of chunk of blocks in your world somewhere. Things get interesting if you add a jigsaw block or several jigsaw blocks into a structure. Jigsaw blocks let us tell the game how to connect and align one structure with another. They do so using template pools. And we'll look at these a little bit later, but a template pool is just a JSON file that is a list of different structures that you can use to connect one jigsaw block to another. You can think of template pools as a bag, all right? And if I have all these little meeple people, and these meeple people represent like a structure, okay? And so what we can do is, if we start with one person, let's pick a green one, and then we add these into our bag. If we want to have this guy hold hands with someone, give him a little friend, then we just pick one randomly from this bag and it's another green one. So there you go, that little guy goes right next to him there. As you can tell, if I pour these back out again, you can see that there are actually different amounts of each color here. And so that's something that template pools allow us to do as well, is they allow us to add a weight to different structures. So meaning there's 3 green people here and 2 white people here. So there are greater chances of me picking a green or a white as opposed to a red, a blue, or a yellow.
So in game, Minecraft villages actually use structure blocks, jigsaw blocks, and template pools in a similar fashion to what we want for Sands of Time. When we generate a dungeon, we'll have a central hub and then different offshoots. Same thing here with a village. You start with a centerpiece, and then what actually happens is this centerpiece, here's an example over here of 2 different centerpieces. They will have these jigsaw blocks on the edge that pull from a pool. Remember, they're just grabbing some kind of bag of different path structures, or streets in this case, to generate different paths branching out from the centerpiece. So you can see that here. So we have a centerpiece and then different paths, and then these paths actually even contain more jigsaw blocks that pull from that same pool to generate more paths. Right here, this is the edge of one structure. And then this is the start of another structure, right? Where these two kiss, right? Where these two jigsaw blocks kiss each other. So it could be any path from the pool. So it could be a straight line, or it could be a kind of diagonal thing like here, or it could be a total like curved piece of a path, or it could go on a tree for some reason. Who knows? When I was doing research on this, I came across two videos from PictureMeBliss. One outlining basic strategy for Sands of Time, and then another one outlining all the different known rooms that have been seen in the game so far. They're two really good videos, so I will definitely leave a link to her channel in the description of this video.
In her videos, she explains that there are 11 paths branching out of the center hub that each player in the team can explore. Now, each path does not intersect with another path, meaning that you can't take one exit out of the hub and loop around into another section and find yourself coming back into the hub from another place. In order to get back to the hub, once you leave a path, you need to backtrack the way you came to find yourself back into the center, and thus the exit at the end of the game as well. And so I want to keep that gameplay mechanic for our recreation of the game.
And we're in luck, because when Minecraft generates a large structure built on smaller structures connected together and aligned properly with jigsaw blocks, such as like an ancient city for instance, the game will ensure that no structure piece that it uses will intersect with the bounding box of another structure piece. These bounding boxes are shown here with these white lines around each of these Tetris pieces that I have set up for this example. So let's assume that this yellow Tetris piece is like our hub. So we start here, and then we'll have a couple different paths that we can take to go away from the center. And each jigsaw block here pulls from the same target pool, Tetris Tetroids, that's what Tetris pieces are called. And they're each named Tetroid. So this will attempt to pull from one of these colors, and in turn will connect to another color and then another color and form a path going who knows where exactly. But we do know that it will never intersect with another structure piece. So I'm going to go ahead and save all of these structures. And then once I've saved all the structures, I need to open up the world folder here. So I've opened it in two windows here. We're going to go to generated, and then I have a couple other things that I've worked on. But in this example is for Tetris structures. Here are all the structures. You can see the .mbt files. And then on the right side here, I'm going to open up data packs, and I've been working on an example one to just kind of figure things out. So Tetris. And then we have two folders here, so we're going to go to the structures folder, and we're going to copy all this over and paste it in here. So now that we have all of our structures here, we can take a look at what we also have in the World Gen folder. In the World Gen folder, we have two other subfolders. We have template pool and structure. So in the template pool folder, I have two template pools. So the Tetroids is the one that we saw in the jigsaw blocks. So this is what the jigsaw block will look at. And we just have, remember, that bag of elements. So each element is a structure that we just moved over. So we have the red one, the orange one, and they each have the same weight. So they each have the same chance of generating. Now I don't have the yellow Tetroid in here because we want that to be our entry piece. And so I have a separate template pool over here with only one element in it, the yellow Tetroid structure. And since it is the only element in this template pool, it is guaranteed 100% chance to generate when we call this template pool. And so you'll see under the structure folder, so under World Gen structure, not structures, we have this path JSON file. Now this allows us to use the /place command. So we'll use /place structure, and then it will be called Tetris:path. And we'll see here that we have a start pool, and this is the entry Tetroid, which will generate that yellow piece. And that yellow piece holds jigsaw blocks that will generate paths branching out of the yellow piece. So let's fly way over here to see this in action. So if we do /place, and then we do structure, we can do Tetris path, and we hit enter, So we can see that we have our hub, our yellow tetroid, and then the paths neatly connect and branch off into all sorts of weird different directions. Pretty cool. And we can see that each path does not intersect with another. There's only close cases like this, but this is fine because there will be a wall here. And so really I can't cross over from this purple tetroid piece into the blue one. Now before we go on saying that this is the greatest thing since sliced bread, there is still a major problem with this approach. Remember those vaults I mentioned earlier? So say this is the yellow vault, and then this square over here represents where the key for the vault is found. If we generate paths using this system, there's absolutely no guarantee that we will generate one and only one vault of each color and one and only one key of each color. So we need an approach that will satisfy these requirements. We need a hub, and we need somewhere to have one and only one yellow, red, and green key. The blue key is actually found in the hub, and then we need a red, yellow, green, and blue vault. Again, one and only one of each. And on top of that, we need to ensure that we have a randomly generated path that connects the hub to each vault, and vice versa. So how do we pull off such a feat? Well, I was looking into how illager outposts are generated, these guys. So I have a structure block in my hand that, when placed down, shows you the border for where this should be built, right? So the template pool, the structure that it is calling from is illager outpost, and it's called base plate. So if I go ahead and load that guy, see nothing really happens. It basically just puts just a few jigsaw blocks down here and then still has all this empty space. So why does it do this? Well, it's actually because one of these jigsaw blocks, it's this one? Yeah, this one actually generates the tower. So if we go into Minecraft's data pack folder, we can see under world gen, template pools, illager outpost, there's this tower template pool, and it pulls from two things, watchtower and watchtower overgrown. So if we just get another structure block, and I'll just put this one here, and then if we want to load the illager outpost from the template pool that we just saw, we can click load, and we can see that it's the same width and depth, but a slightly smaller height. So this box fits within the bounds of this larger box here. And so we can see that if we actually generate the structure, this is the actual tower piece. So what's really going on here is we have this structure, which loads this bounding box, and some jigsaw blocks inside of there, which can load a structure that fits inside these bounds. This made me think of something that I learned about in school called divide and conquer. Divide and conquer is a problem-solving technique where, given some big problem, if you can subdivide it into smaller problems and solve these smaller problems, or even like bite-sized problems like these little slimes here, then you can solve the big problem by merging these smaller problems that you have solved together. So let me explain what I'm really thinking. So we have here our hub, yellow tetroid piece. And instead of just generating paths directly off of that, we have some kind of structure that's basically a big empty box and that has a direction. So it only generates connecting from the hub at this entry point here, and it just is a big empty box, and it just has some other jigsaw block out here that says it continues off further or even ends at like a vault or something. And I'm just going to use this little black square as like the vault, a color vault that we're going to. And within this big structure, we say, we know that the vault is over here because we picked this structure from a template pool. We don't know necessarily what will generate inside here, other than maybe we just say the path has to go through this point here, right? So then the problem becomes, how do we get from this point to the vault? Well, that's easy. We just use maybe just a small one room right there, and that connects that, and that solves that part of the problem. Now, how do we connect the hub, this entry point, to this exit point here?
So what we can do is have some other kind of structure that's basically like a rectangle that says, hey, this structure has some kind of entry point or exit point here and here. And we could say that maybe this structure consists of rooms that fit together like this. Or maybe the rooms come together and fit like this. They're still in the same perimeter of this box this smaller box that we've created, and it still enters and exits through the same part. Or maybe even like this. And what's cool about this piece that I've laid down here is it's symmetric. So if I can rotate this without ruining the rest of the display here, we can see that the same structure can be used flipped around and create a slightly different path from what we had before. It could even be something really unfortunate like this if the player had to zigzag all the way to get to the hub and then zigzag again just to get back.
Now, I have a little bit of a proof of concept, but I think I'll save that for next video. This one's getting a little long. So to wrap this up, I thought I'd show a little bit of a color block palette that I've been working on. Because one of the things that I really admire about Sands of Time is the resource pack that they use and that they have created for the game. Now, I'm not that dedicated to my cause, so I just am going to use the regular blocks in the game in Minecraft, because I also want the whole system to work as just a data pack instead of a data pack and a resource pack as well. So I've been working on this, and I think I've landed on something that I think looks kind of cool, where you have, you know, some lava in some areas and maybe some deep slate bricks coming out of that, and then the majority of the thing will be some of these like mud bricks. And I actually think that red sand looks better with these warmer colors that I have. I don't want everything to be too warm. I do want to use some like cooler colors or just some whiter shades. But we'll see. But yeah, I want to use red sand because I don't want everything to be an exact copy. So instead of making Sands of Time, we're going to make Red Sands of Time. So until next time.